It's perfect.
Nice.
John.
Okay, we're about to start our first lecture of the conference. Woo! And we're starting with someone I've never met before, but who works with a product that I am very familiar with. If any of you have ever heard of the biophotonic scanner, amazing tool for checking the antioxidants of the body and ultimately looking at toxicity, nutrition, etc. They have a booth set up right outside the door, just to the right, if you want to check it out. Get scanned, talk about what they have in reference to nutritional alternatives. But I've just had the pleasure of meeting Scott. And Scott has been an entrepreneur since his first paper route up until his last Pharmanex country that he opened up, at this point a total of about 35. His alliance and innovation and technology has generated millions of dollars, not only for himself, but also for others who have adapted the technology and integrated it. He's a visionary. He's a disciplined man with lots of passion. Few words describe Scott. Scott's never-ending thirst for excellence. This is so weird to read it like this.
It's weird to hear it too.
I know, right? It's like
I've never heard it before.
My head is growing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the man has 6 kids. 6 children. Wow. And his wife of 12 years? No. Is that right?
15.
Okay, 15, 6 and 15. That's decent enough math. But how is your hair still black?
Good
the
nutrition.
biophotonic scanner.
Good nutrition.
There it is. So, if he has, how old are you?
38.
38 years old, 6 children, and his hair is still jet black, I would say that makes him an authority to listen to. So without further ado, Scott from Pharmanex.
Thanks, Ron. I like that last part better as an intro than that. So I'd never heard that. I'm not sure who wrote it, but thank you. So really, to start things off, guys, by show of hands, how many of you guys use nutrition in what you do? Very good. Okay, so I feel like I'm talking to the right audience. If you want to advance this a couple, yeah, my hair does stand up at times too. Just depends on what product you put in it. Right, keep going. Okay, guys, we all know that nutrition is an issue, right? I mean, you are working with patients and clients every day who are nutritionally deficient. And we're talking to people about it. And for most consumers out there, the average consumer, nutrition is something that's very arbitrary. It's very hard to grasp. They feel like it's ever-changing. It varies by what diet they read about in tomorrow's paper versus next week's social media post. And there's really no substance behind that, and they tend to base all of their nutrition talk on how they look instead of everything else that's going on. Is that right? Is that kind of fair? We are all working on the same thing. I've been working with this product, with this device now for 16 years. I've worked with it in almost 50 countries around the world now. As we've rolled it out across the world, 30, 35, 36 of them, I've done myself, or been there. But, these are the statistics. We all know them. We've seen them. The fact of the matter is, it used to be, when I was growing up, everybody used to say, well, you're just genetically predisposed. That was especially with cancer, that was the big thing was, it was just your grandma had cancer, your mom had cancer, therefore you will have cancer. And we all know that that's not true anymore, right? You may be genetically predisposed, but there is stuff that you can do to help mitigate that risk. And there's a lot of science behind that. There's a lot of things we could talk about with that. But as you look at these statistics, they're pretty horrifying when you really look at the average consumer. What I have found in my travels and in everything we've done, this is not just, these are statistics for the United States, but virtually everywhere in the world, it's the same. There's the same statistics. What we've found is basically anywhere that has McDonald's has got the same statistics. They kind of migrate to that fast food area and go through that. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I'm not teaching you guys anything you don't already know or see on a daily basis. And next slide. We also know that the expenditure, the fact of the matter is our medical world that we live in, from a healthcare standpoint, is really more of a sick care than a health care. You go to your doctor not to maintain your health or become healthier. You go to your doctor because you're sick and you need to get better. Does that make sense? And that we're trying to create some type of a shift in doing that, from the underlying factor. We've got to have, a science-based approach to nutrition. And that, right now, if you look at it, there's about 2,000 different supplement companies that sell nutritional supplements just in the United States alone. It's actually just in the United States, it's a $35 billion market. Globally, it's $250 billion. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70%, depending on the study that you read, of people say that they will consume a nutritional supplement on a daily basis. And yet, every one of them do that without knowing whether or not they work. Without knowing really any science behind it. In fact, most marketing research shows that on average, the average consumer will spend less than a minute deciding which supplement to buy at a Walmart or a Walgreens or a CVS, and they will do it 100% based off of the label, which is really more of just the marketing. And ultimately comes down to price point. The average consumer will go in and say, I don't want to be the highest, I don't want to be the lowest, and they find which bottle appeals to them somewhere in between. Does that make sense? I think we've all kind of been there. I've done the same thing myself, at times as well. Ultimately, what it comes down to in the world of nutrition is this fight between antioxidants and free radicals. Dr. Lester Packer, he's deemed the father of the antioxidant theory. It was his doctoral thesis over 60 years ago that postulated the theory that there are good guys and bad guys in our body that are antioxidants and free radicals that exist. And that FEMA test just keeps going, doesn't it? But what it comes down to is this is the nucleus of every chronic illness that we know of. So we're not talking about just, do I get colds and flu or, sinus infection here or there, things like that. Nutrition does play a big part in that. But we're mainly, when we talk about antioxidants and free radicals, we're talking about any chronic illness you can think of. Heart disease, cancer, osteoporosis, age-related macular degeneration, to periodontal disease, and just, aging in and of itself, lines and wrinkles and everything else that goes along with that, all stems from this battle of, do we have enough antioxidants to protect against the outside environmental sources as well as the internal sources of free radical damage. So it isn't anymore, 50 years ago, most free radicals were developed or onslaught from our body based off of simply, our mitochondria spitting off, it's about 2% every time they convert food into energy. About 2% of that is free radical damage. And then from there, it was just food, and exterior sources, sunburns and things like that. Now it's all these exterior environmental sources on top of that. Pollution, toxins in the air, the synthetic fabrics we, put on our body every day, the dry cleaning, the synthetic lighting, the cell phones we put up next to our head. Just all of that creates free radical damage. And so it's just become more and more of this. Not sure what happened there. I didn't even move. But, it just becomes more and more of an onslaught of this damage at the same time as our diets have become worse and worse and worse. And so it's like we're kind of caught in these crosshairs where it just continues to provide, and that's why these numbers keep getting worse and worse. So when you think about this battle between antioxidants and free radicals, what you're really thinking about, I think the easiest way to understand it is you cut open an apple. You cut open an apple, immediately the fruit on the inside of that apple starts to turn brown, right? It's oxidizing. It's rusting from the inside out. Also to understand is the skin on the outside of the apple is where all the color is. That color is antioxidants. So the red, the green, the yellow, the vibrant colors on the outside of that skin, those are antioxidants, and those are there to protect the fruit. As soon as you cut that open, it can no longer protect the fruit. You're exposing it to air, and it begins to rust. Any of you who have decided that you're going to have a party, let's say tonight, and you want to get ready for it now, and you cut those apples to put out a nice fruit tray, what do you do to keep that fruit from turning brown before the party? Lemon juice, right? You put lemon juice, do you know why? The antioxidants, right? The vitamin C from the lemon juice goes over and it puts a protective coating over top of that fruit. That's the same thing that's happening in our bodies. That's why we need to eat more fruits and vegetables. That's why we need to stop smoking. That's why we need to do the other things that we can personally do to make sure that we are healthier. The other thing is you can add a nutritional supplement to that regimen, really more from a realistic standpoint. The fact of the matter is, and we can talk about this, but what it really comes down to is the average person out there is not going to eat 9 to 12 servings of fruits and vegetables of a variety of colors and variety of sources, every day. They're just not. Our goal is not to tell people, well, just eat like crap and take a nutritional supplement. Our goal is to say, eat as good as you can, but supplement the difference. That's the goal. Okay? This is a study that was done by the National Institute of Health where they surveyed 21,500 people. Of those people surveyed, they found that not one person in their survey met even the minimum requirements for the RDA. Not one. It isn't a matter of, and the RDA, guys, the RDA is base. It's not optimal nutrition. It is base. I mean, I don't know if you guys really know how it was developed, but it was they went into prisons back in the 30s and 40s where they could say we can control exactly what's being eaten, and they lowered the level of nutrition until prisoners started getting beriberi, rickets, or scurvy, and they raised it one level, and that's the RDA. It hasn't changed since then. Okay? It is not optimal nutrition. But not one person out of these 21,000 plus people that were surveyed were even meeting the RDA. And so they came out, if you hit the next slide, they actually published in the Journal of American Medical Association that all adults need to take a nutritional supplement every day. Need to take a multivitamin. They said we have enough to prevent deficiency, but not enough to prevent disease. Maybe you click it one more time. And that's where they recommended that all adults take a multivitamin daily. This was back in 2002. Guys, this has been quite a while since they've done that, and it's become more and more mainstream. When this first came out, I remember talking to doctors, and they didn't want to hear anything of it. Most of them didn't even know what antioxidants were. They just didn't know that. And now you go to the grocery store, and everything is sold with antioxidants. Next time you look at a can of Cherry 7-Up, it'll say with antioxidants on it. I don't know how they get away with it. It also says right underneath there, no real fruit juice, but they say it, in public, it's in print because it's that big of a thing. So the question is no longer, should I take a nutritional supplement? Because we know we're not getting it in our diet. The question becomes, which one is actually worth my money that I'm spending on? Which one will actually work for me in my body? That becomes the key question. And that becomes a key question that each person that you are meeting with on a daily basis, they're coming to you with those questions in mind. They're coming to you looking for an answer. And the question ultimately becomes, what are you going to tell them? A lot of the doctors that I work with, we start this conversation with, I come to you as a patient looking for you to tell me what's wrong with my body and how I can fix it and what do you recommend and everything. And then when it comes to nutrition, you say, you should take something. Your scores aren't great with your blood work or whatever else I'm measuring, but go to Walmart or GNC and they'll tell you what to take. I mean, guys, that's kind of what's going on out there, and that makes no sense. But the fact of the matter is, until they have a way to measure whether or not something is being absorbed by the cells of the body and doing any good for your body or for your client's body, they're not willing to put their name behind it. That's what it comes down to. And we can talk about which supplement this and that. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's, can we measure whether or not it's getting there? As you can see, I mean, this is just a simple chart. It just basically shows every single year Americans spend more money on nutritional supplements than they did the year before. It has become more mainstream. This is not a market that we're looking to create. This is not a market that we're hoping, will have consumers if we give them a test kind of thing. This is already an existing market that grows every single year at double-digit rates. And we've put into there the only device in the world that can non-invasively measure whether or not something's working for them in their body. It puts a pretty unique perspective. I just kind of flip through these real quick, but the fact of the matter is, you can read this as well as I can. High levels of carotenoids backed for breast cancer risk reduction. Guys, you need to understand that this device, I'm going to tell you a little bit about here in a second, it has 82 published peer-reviewed clinical trials proving that it's more accurate and reliable than blood serum testing. I can get you all the abstracts. You can look through all of it. It has been researched by a number of major institutions. What made me remind me of that was there was a study out of Italy where they measured breast cancer survivors, and they measured their scores over the course of 5 years. Had nothing to do with the supplements. They just measured their score. And if their score was in the optimal range over 5 years, not one of those patients had a resurgence of that breast cancer. Yet every one of them who was under the optimal range had a resurgence within 5 years. That was what they published. That it becomes, significant. The measurement we're checking, as compared to diabetes, this is like you've got your blood glucose level that you measure hourly or every few hours every day. Then you have your A1C that you're measuring every quarter. That's measuring the damage that fluctuation in blood glucose daily is doing over the course of 90 days. This device is measuring just like the A1C. We're looking over the last 4 to 6 months of who you are. You can't fake the device out. It's not a blood test. It doesn't change every 24 to 48 hours. Because we're measuring in the cells, it changes every 4 to 6 months. It's as your body turns over. And so it's something you can't say, well, I drank a gallon of carrot juice yesterday, and so I should score off the charts. It won't even show up in the score. But if you drink a gallon of carrot juice every day for multiple weeks, then it will start showing up in there. But now all of a sudden, that's who you are. That's a representation of who you are as an individual and what you are doing nutritionally speaking. Does that make sense? Okay. We'll hit the next one. We all know inflammation is a massive problem and is a killer. We also know that inflammation is tied to low levels of antioxidants. We know, and it's been proven time and time again that if you have a low level of antioxidants in your body, that the inflammation in your body will go up. We do have clinical trials on our products even that show that as you take these products, within weeks, a significant amount of chronic inflammation will decrease in your body. And it's directly inversely proportional to how your antioxidant score. As your antioxidants goes up, your inflammation will go down, which just makes sense, right? And it's exactly what it should do. Okay, next slide. Arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis ties to these antioxidants as well. Next slide. Metabolic syndrome. Serum antioxidant status is associated with metabolic syndrome among U.S. adults, and according to recent surveys. It just keeps tying to all these different things. This is our device. Okay? This technology, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but ultimately right now, it takes 30 seconds to scan someone, uses the palm of your hand. The reason we use the palm of your hand is because antioxidants are fat soluble, and this is the most non-invasive fatty tissue that we could do. We could measure other parts of your body, but most people don't like to do that. Okay, so being able to do it on the palm of your hand, it also, if you notice by race, doesn't matter anywhere in the world, the palm of your hand is almost always clear. It's almost always white. And so it doesn't, have any contraindications based on your, ethnicity, race, gender. It doesn't even change versus age, or anything else like that as well. So it is really nice. Being able to also tie it, 30 seconds, tie it through Bluetooth. It's battery operated. You can move it room to room, chair to chair, not have to worry about it. It can bounce around your office or clinic really easily. This device was made possible by this man here. This man his name is Sir C.B. Raman, and in 1930 he won the Nobel Prize for a law of physics called Raman Spectroscopy. And so basically what it says is that when you shine a light on a particular molecule, it will refract a specific light coming back. And that it basically creates an optical fingerprint, where every molecule will create a different resonance and refract back a different colored light. And so what we do is we shine a blue light into the palm of your hand, and it vibrates or resonates with the carotenoid antioxidant molecule, comes back into the machine as a green light, and we measure the intensity of that green light coming back, run it through an algorithm, and spit out a number. Again, that takes 30 seconds to do it. Clinically, it's proven to be more accurate and reliable than blood serum testing or running it through a high-performance liquid chromatography or HPLC machine, which is originally how it was calibrated at the University of Utah where the machine was invented. So this is not a machine that we invented just for our products. It doesn't matter how you get antioxidants in your body. It has nothing to do with that. It measures antioxidants, whether you're getting them from supplement X, supplement Y, our supplement, or fruits and vegetables. It doesn't matter. The machine can only tell you whether or not they're there. Does that make sense? Is that fair? Okay. This is our patent. If you want to click one more time. All right, so this is one of the key things on one of the main patents. We have about 50 international patents on this device now. But when you look at it, I think it's pretty interesting when you read what was actually approved in the patent in 2001. It says the method and apparatus provide a non-invasive, rapid, accurate, and safe determination of carotenoid levels, which in turn can provide diagnostic information regarding cancer risk, or can be be a marker for conditions where carotenoids or other antioxidant compounds may provide diagnostic information. Such early diagnostic information allows for the possibility of preventative intervention. That's kind of the key, right? That last sentence, preventative intervention. Yale did a 10-year clinical study on this device. In that device, they did no supplements at all. They had nothing to do with supplements. They were measuring inner city kids for 10 years with the scanner. And the two things that I thought were most interesting that they published. Number one, they said this was the best way to measure fruit and vegetable intake, period. And number two, they said this was the best way to affect behavioral change. And like Ron said at the beginning, as I have 6 kids, trying to teach children nutrition is difficult, right? If any of you guys have tried this, I remember myself. When I first got scanned, I scanned the same place as someone who was smoking a pack a day. I scanned terrible, but I was in probably the best shape of my life at the time, and I looked good. I was in college. I had one class at the time, was racquetball. I played soccer with my roommates every day. I worked out of the gym every day, and I was working in a restaurant like as little as possible, probably 10 hours a week. No stress, everything else. I get scanned by this guy in a white lab coat. At the time, the device was 4 feet by 10 feet in size, had a tube about this big that came up out of it into a ceiling tile like that had a fan pushing cold air onto it from above, trying to keep it temperature regulated. And he's turning these different diodes. I've never even heard the word antioxidant in my life at this point. And he scans me at 14,000. And I know that number doesn't mean anything to you guys right now, but it's considered an F. Okay? And I looked at him and was like, sweet, nice. And he looked at me and goes, that's terrible. And I said, how do you know? And I don't know this guy. And he looks at me and he says, that tells me you do not eat any fruits and vegetables. You do not take a nutritional supplement, or if you do, it does not work. And it was like, wow. Why, tell me more, because that had me pegged. I was the guy in college. I don't smoke, I don't drink, but I was also the guy that would buy apples just in case my mom stopped in and she could look in the fridge and there were apples, and then they'd go bad and I'd throw them away and I'd buy more apples. But that was kind of me. I knew carbs and protein. I knew that side to look good, but from the inside out, I was dying. I was killing myself. And most people look at it the same way. Most people have that same mentality. Now, at the time, I'm 22 years old. My mom has been a personal trainer, an aerobics instructor, and so my entire life. She has done her research, to her satisfaction on nutritional supplements, to the point where she was mailing me supplements every month in college. I had them stacked up in my closet. I didn't take them because I didn't feel the difference. I just didn't do anything with them. I could have never gone to my mom and said, mine's better than yours. My supplement's better than yours. It would have never worked. But she got scanned with this scanner, and all of a sudden she put her hand in front of it, and the guy's turning the diodes on her, and she scanned at 19,000. She wasn't any better than me. She was an F too. And she looked at me and said, well, mine don't work. What do you have? She now scans at 80,000. Just that one shift. Blood pressure medication, gone. Cholesterol medication, gone. Just everything else, all this stuff starts to happen because if you give your body the proper nutrition, it's amazing what it can do for itself, as each of you guys can attest with what you do, right? That's the goal. Can we give somebody the information, and can we simplify the nutritional discussion down to a number? Now, I can talk to you guys for a long time. I know that number is not everything. But it's good enough for my 5-year-old son to know what fruits and vegetables he needs to eat to get a blue score. That's the goal. Most clinicians, most doctors are so busy meeting with people every day and going through it, they do not have time to run through a 20-minute discussion on nutrition. Very few of us have that kind of time. So the question is, can we simplify it and make it memorable to somebody so they can now make informed decisions, so they can make changes? The statistics I showed you before, we don't need the scanner to sell supplements. We're selling $35 billion worth of supplements across the country already. We need the scanner to help us retain customers on the right supplements so they're not bouncing around trying all kinds of garbage. Is that fair? All right. These are our labs and research institutions. We actually spend more money on nutritional R&D than any other company in the world. It's 3% of our gross revenue. We've got 3 laboratories and a clinical research center that we own and operate ourselves. 75 scientists on staff, 40 plus of which are PhDs in 13 different disciplines. Our company market cap is approaching $5 billion. We operate in 54 countries around the world. Guys, this is not a fly-by-night company. We're over $175 million invested into that technology out there sitting on that table because we know it can make a big difference and a big impact in the world, not only in nutrition, but ultimately in people's lives. And it's worked out in tenfold for us as well as for our clients. Ultimately, this research and development, we didn't just stop with antioxidants, but we are now the foremost leaders in nutritional research and development in the science of epigenetics. And so the science of epigenetics, meaning we can use products, natural ingredients, to get your genes in your body to function the way that they were functioning when you were 20 years old. meaning we can upregulate certain genes, downregulate others, depending on how those genes age or change, and we can do it specifically by organ, as we own the patents for measuring those genes by the use of heat mapping. So I think that's kind of another discussion, but the fact of the matter is we are continuing to innovate and change and move forward when it comes to nutrition. And I can say all this stuff wholeheartedly because we are a publicly traded company. Everything I'm saying has been proven by double-blind, placebo-controlled, crossover randomized studies done by third parties, typically Stanford University or Tufts or Yale or Harvard, that are willing to put their name behind it as well and publish those findings. So it's not just me going out there, saying whatever, but it's something I can hand you and you can research. Okay. This is ultimately what we've come down to, and why I think, it's why I'm here, from a business perspective. I'm not a medical professional, but I do love working in the healthcare industry. But from the standpoint of measurement has always made markets. People do not make long-term decisions based off of feeling. They make instant decisions based off of feeling, but that feeling goes away and they migrate somewhere else as well. Okay? But at the same time, no doctor has ever said, hey, I look at you, but by the look at you, you got high blood pressure. Or just looking at you, I can tell your cholesterol is kind of going through the roof. You need to get on this statin drug. Nobody would ever do that. It makes no sense. But if you could measure their cholesterol score, measure their blood pressure, measure their blood glucose levels, now all of a sudden, I know I have to make changes. We are now introducing the only way to measure nutrition. And that's where this becomes different. We believe we've got the only way to measure, we know we do, and we believe we have the best solution. And that solution, is a number of different products, that are age and gender specific, as well as, different components based off of, what your specific needs are. We focus on about 6 different products that are guaranteed to increase your score. That's the one thing that's very unique about us. Because we have the ability to measure, we can actually put our money where our mouth is. Meaning we provide a 100% performance money-back guarantee to every single person who buys our product. You get scanned, find out where your number is, you get on our product, take it for 60 days. Come back and be rescanned. If your number does not increase, if we don't prove to you that we are making you healthier in your body, then we will give you or your client or your patient 100% of their money back. Tax and shipping included. Because we know ours works. We've done enough research, everything else. We can't even prove whether or not you took our product. All we can prove is whether or not we shipped it to you. But we know if you take it, your number will increase. And that's the only nutritional guarantee you can get from any nutritional supplement company in the world. And I think that speaks as loudly to what we're doing as anything else we've got. Okay, next slide. These are some of the awards, places it's published, and different things that's been out there. We have presented this in, countless medical conferences and journals, and it has been published multiple times. But some of the foremost authorities in this world have spoken on our behalf or are on our scientific advisory board. Dr. Lester Packer, the guy that invented the antioxidant theory, being one of them. He actually went on CNN Money in 2003 and said, this scanner validates my entire life's work. Guys, it doesn't matter what you pay him. He's over 80 years old. He's got the Packer Labs at UC Berkeley named after him. He's published over 700 peer-reviewed white papers on the topic, 69 college textbooks. He's not going to risk that reputation by going and saying, hey, this nutritional supplement company over here has this device, and it validates my entire life's work. He's not going to do that. That speaks very, very loudly as you do this. This is ultimately what we're talking about, is being able to show somebody clinical response. No one in the world has ever been able to show clinical response to nutrition and quantitate it into a very easy to understand number for somebody, for the average consumer, child or adult. And that's what makes this so unique, is being able to substantiate that, show people that over a number of weeks. And it will continue to increase typically for that 4 to 6 month range. And then the goal is to maintain it. Change your diet, do some different things on that world, but the fact of the matter is that's as high as the supplement's going to get you. Now, if you change different things, you can make it increase from there. I've done some different, experiments myself. Things like I got rid of Coke, knocked out Coca-Cola, my score went up 10,000 points. Just random things like that. It is really pretty amazing. Once you get your score over 50,000, what it starts to happen. That's kind of the magical point, right? 50,000 is where we say you're optimal. That's considered an A range. Anywhere over 50,000 is A. But when you're there, that's when your body starts to make a lot of changes. It starts to do a lot of different things. It becomes a lot of anecdotal stuff, so it's not something I want to really go into. But the fact of the matter is, that's when I personally saw a lot of big changes in my own life. And getting there, just from anything from energy levels to being able to sleep better to a lot of different health issues going away. So, next slide. Ultimately, we have the ability to measure. We call it the difference demonstrated, and we think some of these things are pretty common knowledge. But the fact of the matter is, we've been able to now measure in 54 countries around the world over 7 million people. We have the largest nutritional database in the world that we can mine and use for better nutritional products ourselves and continue to put out better things. But see, these are some of the averages. You got the average smoker is going to scan at 15 or 14,000. What's really unique? The average teenager scans also at 14,000. Because of their diet. But for most teenagers, most 14, 15, 16-year-olds, that's the first time mom and dad let them decide what they're eating for lunch. And it's pizza and soda. It's whatever's fast and cheap and easy, right? Average American, that 20 to 25,000 range. Most people in America eat 1.3 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And that's where all those statistics we started with, that's why they're there. Okay? You've got average vegetarian is going to scan in that 30 to 40,000 range. Average vegan in that 40 to 50,000 range. Average raw-tarian is going to be over 50,000. Right where you would think they would be. The highest person I've ever scanned in my life is over 100,000, doesn't take a single nutritional supplement at all. And some of the highest people that, number 2 through number 50 that I've scanned have been newborn babies, in that 6 to 8 month range, where they're starting to eat solid foods for the very first time. But you start to think about it, there's no stress, they sleep great, mom keeps them out of the sun, they're typically breastfed, and mom's trying to be healthier in doing so, and the first foods they're eating are peas and squash and carrots and everything else, and that's all they're consuming, and their scores go through the roof. It's really interesting. If you want to, I can scan a newborn baby, a few weeks old. I can tell you whether or not the baby's breastfed or bottle fed based off their score. And if it's breastfed, I can predict mom's score within 10 to 15%. It's always been said the health of the mom is the health of the baby, but very few tests have been able to ever prove it. You want to wake up a mom, you want to get her attention, you scan her. You really want to change her, scan her kids. Now all of a sudden it starts to really take hold that every time she's buying food at the grocery store, she's making some pretty serious decisions. So, next slide. This is a friend of mine. He has got his PhD in nutritional studies, teaches at a university in Denver, and this is right after he won the Body for Life competition. Based out of Colorado, he just won $150,000 for before and after pictures, right? Guy looks like me, but he looks amazing, right? Looks good, feels great. He hit the next button. He scans at 17,000. He scores a D on this. Ultimately, the fact of the matter is, the whole reason I put this up here, guys, most people think this is the picture of health, right? But the fact is, that guy was eating, I think it was 8 to 12 boiled chicken breasts a day. There is no way he can fit into his stomach 9 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day on top of that. He just can't do it. It's just physically impossible. And so by simply changing supplementation habits based off of getting that score, it changed him. Now, he never got to like 70, 80,000 on his score, but he went over 50,000, and was still able to do it and look like that and everything else. Now, it's not totally the answer, right? But he started realizing what these competitions were doing for him and stopped doing them. He does not look like that today. Still looks great, but he isn't at 4% body fat. He made some decisions on what he ate, how he ate them, what he did to make sure that he was more balanced in what was going on in his approach. Okay, so guys, what we're going to do now, this scanner was featured on the Dr. Oz show. Whether you like Dr. Oz or not, your clients, your patients do. They listen to the guy. Whether he's saying good things or not is beside the point. Everybody's watching him. But he did a complete show, an hour-long show on antioxidants, and he had us bring our scanner, and then he measured every single member of the audience and had them wear a shirt based on the color range of where they scanned, and then brought them down and started interviewing them. And it was really kind of interesting. He brought in some people that were wearing the blue shirt, and he's like, "What do you do?" And she's like, "Well, I only eat fruits and vegetables, and I eat a lot of them." And she brought in one lady that looked really healthy, looked really pretty, and was in red. And he said, and she said, "Well, I think the machine's broken. I eat really well and everything." And he, on air, looks at her and says, "Well, am I going to out you, or are you going to out yourself?" And she said, "Well, I smoke." He's like, "See, there's nothing I can do about you." That was basically what he said. And he started looking at all this different stuff that was going on. So we're going to watch this real quick. And then there are a few of you that have been scanning here. And Deb Hatanaka, who's out here manning this booth, is going to kind of lead a group panel, about 4 or 5 people. We can ask some questions, and I'll be up here too if you want to go from there. But if you want to click that. Yeah, go ahead. One more. And we'll watch this video, and then we'll do that panel. And that's it. Yeah. Maybe we won't watch the video. There was... No, it's not that. It'd be under that presentation. That top one.
Which one is the John slide?
No, the Dr. Prees. And then that black slide right there. And hit play.
It's a disease that you...
Sorry.
You're fine. One more. There you go. Now click your mouse in the middle of the...
It's playing.
It's the disease that you fear most, cancer. And your ability to fight it lies in one of the biggest buzzwords in health, antioxidants. Today, we're fighting the war on cancer with prevention, antioxidant prevention. And I'm sharing my cancer-fighting antioxidant all-stars, the 3 most important ones you need to help you prevent cancer. Do you have enough? That's why our audience is wearing these different colored t-shirts. You've seen them advertised everywhere.
A glass of Welch's purple grape juice has twice the natural antioxidant level.
This peptide cream is so rich in the absolute best antioxidants.
New Snapple Antioxidant Water. It helps protect your body.
Antioxidants are found in many fruits and vegetables. and they might just be your body's ultimate secret weapons against cancer. But what exactly are antioxidants, and why are they so good for you? Joining me is one of my all-time favorite guests, cancer prevention pioneer, Dr. William Lee. Dr. Lee, thank you very much for joining us as always. Talk about antioxidants and how they prevent cancer.
Well, antioxidants are natural protective molecules that Mother Nature has laced into a large number of foods. And there are literally thousands of different types of antioxidants, but they all do pretty much the same thing. They protect our DNA in healthy cells from the type of damage caused by free radicals, which are harmful chemicals that our body absorbs from things like cigarette smoke or pollution or fried foods or other sources of the environment. So antioxidants protect our DNA against the kind of damage that can cause cancer.
So you see why it's so important to both of us, and all doctors are concerned about preventing cancer, that you have enough. So everyone in our audience today is wearing their antioxidant health on their sleeve. All wearing different colored t-shirts. Before the show, we gave everyone the ultimate nutritional lie detector test. This revolutionary device, it's lying right here next to me, measures the level of carotenoids in your skin, which can help indicate the overall antioxidant health in your body. It's a completely non-invasive test. Did it hurt you? Did you get it? All right. Good. I haven't had mine yet. I'm having it next. So we're going to see if it hurts me. But it takes about 90 seconds, and I am completely astounded by these results. Let me come on over here. We're going to show it to everybody. So if you look at this is how it's supposed to be read out, by the way. We've got lowest to highest, 10,000 up to 50,000 units, right? These figures give us a rough idea. You want to be up here in the blues. Now, let's see how you did. Are you ready? I don't want to see any reds, any oranges. Let's see the numbers for the audience. You're all down here. Can I tell you something? You're America. You're a cross-section of everyone watching the show right now. Let me just go through these because it completely blew my mind. We have almost 40% of the audience in the lowest category possible. I actually didn't think we'd find anybody there. Not naively thought that at least we're getting enough of these antioxidants into our bodies that wouldn't be there. Another 40% had the orange category, which is still, to me, a dangerously low level. And we only had a total of about 6% having greens and blues. Put your hands up if you're greens and blues. Let me just see. It's like, yeah, I mean, there are a couple folks. But, it's not many. Congratulations, by the way. Yeah. So the question then becomes, why is it they're having these problems? And it's not surprising because we're getting on average about 2 to 3 servings of fruit per day and vegetables. It's not enough. And we know that. What do we talk about? 5, 7, 9, big numbers of servings, fistful size. So I haven't had the test yet. So before I give you a hard time, let's see how I'm doing. Ready to go?
That's ready.
All right. And Dr. Lee, while I do this, talk to me about antioxidants. What foods have them? How can folks find them, even if they don't know the chemical names?
Well, you can certainly get antioxidants in pill form, but the very best way of actually getting antioxidants is in the foods that we eat.
And what about organic versus inorganic? I get asked that a lot from the audience. Does it make a big difference with regard to antioxidant power?
Yeah, well, some studies have actually shown that foods grown organically can have greater levels of antioxidants. And the reason is because antioxidants also protect plants. And when plants are grown organically, that's without pesticides or chemicals or antibiotics, they actually have to produce more antioxidants to protect themselves. Right. And when we eat them, we get the benefits too.
Does that make sense, everybody? All right, let's see how I'm doing here. 75,000. Now, listen. No. I honest to goodness did not do that to show off. Although I know it sounds like that. I did that because I eat the things that all of you could be eating. I don't do anything fancy. I'm as busy as you are. I just made it part of my life to eat the kinds of foods we're going to talk about today. It's that simple. But when you see numbers like that, it changes dramatically the chances you're going to have to cope with some life-threatening or life-ending cancer down the road. Let me show you why antioxidants are so important.
Thanks for coming. Hi, how are ya? Amy?
I'm Amy.
Emily? Hey, Tracy. Hey, Betty. It's Terry. Sorry, we don't have shirts. It's all right.
So I've also been working with the scanner for about 6 years, and I also work with healthcare practitioners. Oh, is that better?
Yep.
I'm from Toronto, Canada. And so what we learned from the slides is, so there's some factors that typically associated with the scanner score. So it's dietary habits, supplement intake, lifestyle choices, and body composition. So we're just going to go through a few questions to kind of uncover where people's scores are and if they're surprised by their scores and what they do in their daily lives to reflect that score. So we're just going to go through the panels here. So Amelie, we'll start with you. So if you just say your name, okay, your name, your background, and is your score where you thought it would be?
Background being
What you do for a living, like are you a biofeedback practitioner? Just
Okay.
sometimes people don't know each other better.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Amélie. I'm from Kamloops, BC, Canada. My background, I just got back into nursing after studying for 2.5 years to get the license again, and I do home care nursing. I'm just getting back into my doctor practice. Is that it? I was impressed with my score. I thought it'd be lower. I'm not taking any supplements. I stay away from the fake stuff, and I've been spending a lot of time outdoors, just enjoying our forests and lakes.
I'm Tracy Kreider. I'm from Mansfield, Ohio. I sell touchscreen point-of-sale systems, and this is all new. I'm just getting into it. I'm not overly surprised by my score because I used to eat better, and now basically I just do protein and carbs. So I'm not doing what I need to do.
I'm Betty Swope. I live in Madisonville, Tennessee. I'm 61, and I live a high-stress life. So I was kind of surprised that I was even this good. I do eat healthy, what I consider healthy, lean meats, fruits, vegetables, all organic if I can. So I'm just, yeah. I'm surprised that it's this good.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, this is my score here, and it's not that good, I believe. But I think the reason why I have this low score is because I'm smoking. Yeah. I know it's bad, but I'm trying to deal with this.
How?
Again, we'll start with you. So in terms of dietary habits, you might have touched on this before. So fruits and vegetables daily intake, half a cup of blueberries is a serving, and a big salad could be 3. So what do you think you get in a day?
Yeah, at least that. Yeah. For the last few months, I went on a diet of mostly steak and salad and not much else. But before that was quite a variety in vegetables, berries, wonderful.
I might get that twice a week. Yeah, I don't eat a lot of fruits or vegetables.
I typically probably get 2 servings a day. Try to.
I'm trying to eat vegetables and fruits like almost every day, but I'm not really keeping the diet. I'm eating what I want as much I want. So yeah.
And I can just ask you all at the same time, who takes supplements here? Anyone? Okay. Okay. So how did you select the supplements that you're
I'm trying to think of an answer. I had an LCAT test done, so I knew I was deficient in some things. But it got to where I was taking so many that I just scaled it back because I couldn't stand to take that many pills. But a doctor actually told me what I needed to take. It's just I scaled it back way too much.
I did have a blood test to determine what nutrients I was low on. Some of the herbal supplements I take came through the biofeedback session with recommendations. And I do a lot of research as to, whether the vitamin or the herb is synthetic, how it's grown. So it's important to me the purity of what I take.
I'm not taking.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to do a bit of lifestyle choices. So I know that you mentioned you go out in nature and you're walking around, so that's a really good thing for lowering stress. So is there anything else you can say that might be doing that? Like how much sun exposure do you have? You obviously don't smoke. And how much do you exercise, and how do you manage stress?
I was doing a lot of outdoors. For last month, I just started a new job, so I have a lot of driving and sitting in an office. And I'm really looking forward to scaling back so I can get back into an active lifestyle. Trying to manage my stress. I do tapping, and I would like to use my doctor a lot more.
I travel a lot, so I maybe exercise a couple times a week. I have a lot of stress, and I'm trying to deal with it, but I'm not very good at it right now. That's about it.
I actually don't do any kind of exercise, but I'm very active. I have 3 acres to mow at home and an acre where my shop is. My husband travels, so I do a lot of the strenuous activities around the house. So I really don't have time for a workout regimen. I do have a high-stress life. I'm raising a grandson that has Asperger's, and so I'm busy back and forth with him going to different classes. I've learned a lot through the biofeedback that talks about how your emotions, every emotion is attached to an organ. So I've been trying to pay a lot of extra attention to anything that comes up on the biofeedback and try to see what emotion is attached to that. So I'm working on my stress in that kind of way.
Well, I'm playing football every week. I'm walking a lot. Like every day I'm walking for 10-15 kilometers. I did boxing for 5 years, but then I stopped it because I have really a lot of stuff to do. I'm stressing a lot. I still don't know how to handle my stress, but I'm trying my best. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, one final question. Okay, so do you feel what you're doing is working for you, and after receiving your score, what will you do differently?
I'm pleasantly surprised that I'm doing pretty good, and I will make sure I get more exercise outside in the sunshine. Not too much sun, but needed to. I think I'm solar powered. And definitely keep going with the berries. Thank you.
Well, I ate vegetables last night. I exercised this morning, so I'm going to attempt to continue that.
I actually am going to try some of the products, and I think I'm going to look into a yoga class or something for some more relaxation, because I need more of that in my life. And I think that's about it.
I had my cigarette 10 minutes ago. But yes, I think the most important now that I am with you guys here, and I am not stressing at all. I don't know why. Maybe I'm in a different country. I changed something in my life now. But I think it will help me as well. And every morning I'm also here and I'm eating the vegetables and fruits. So I really believe it will help me.
So if you guys have any questions, Scott or I can answer a few questions for you if anyone has any.
I wanted to ask you if you worked with Bruce Lipton with the epigenetics when you were doing that research.
No, we worked with Dr. Thomas Cola and Richard Weintraub. They were, Thomas Cola and Richard Weintraub, they were the founders of LifeGen Technologies. They performed a 20-year clinical. And in that 20-year clinical trial, they proved that caloric restriction would actually make you live a longer, healthier life. It's actually the only study that's ever proven better outcome of longevity. And so what we've done is we have since purchased their company, and they've got, thank you guys. Thank you. So they in that study they had live tissue samples over a 20-year basis. So there's a 20-year tissue sample bank that we now control, and then they have patents to measuring genetic expression by the use of heat mapping by organ. So in the lungs, the skin organ, the mitochondria, all these different functions and organs in your body, and now we control those patents. So we're the only company in the world that has a 20-year live tissue sample bank of caloric restrictive diet that proves that outcome, and then we're the only company that can measure by the use of heat mapping how your genes are changing the way they act as you get older. Because if you really think about it, you're born with the exact same genes you die with. They never change. How come, the skin changes, the gray hair changes, or falls out, or, all these different things change, and yet it's the same genes. It's the way those genes express themselves. It's the way they act that differs. So what we can do now is we can apply specific technology to natural products to mimic as if you were on that caloric-restricted diet. Because the fact of the matter is a caloric-restricted diet, while it may help you live longer and healthier, it's not practical. It's 600 calories of meticulously balanced diet a day. Most people have had more than 600 calories of nothing balanced or done so far today. It's not realistic to say, hey, this is how we're going to live. But clinically, we can prove we can get the same function within 92% of where you were if you were living a caloric-restricted diet by using some of these products. So we have different products, whether it works with the skin, and when I say we work with them, like in the skin tissue, we're changing the expression of 60 different genes in the skin organ. Then we have a product that works with the mitochondria of the brain, heart, and muscle tissue, and that's working with 52 genes in the mitochondria. And that makes a lot more sense when there's 30,000 genes in the human body. Each organ, is going to have a cluster of genes that change, either upregulate or downregulate as you age. And if we can get those to get back to the way they were within 92% right now of where you were at 20, no matter what your age. And so we've got about 12 different products, from skincare products to nutrition products that do that. Yeah, I'm sure you don't need a mic, so that's why I went with you first.
I was going to ask, I've been getting into the CBD products, and I noticed a lot of people that smoke because of stress or whatever reason. They're doing the CBD cigarettes with the cannabinoids that not the stuff that gets you kind of high or anything. Do you have any studies that show the difference between cigarettes versus smoking?
It's too new. Ultimately it's too new. And it's CBD. It's definitely not my expertise, but I'm sure there will be studies long term about that stuff. But right now there isn't that I know. So, yeah.
I've been hearing a lot lately about the body's absorbing certain things in the stomach, the whole digestive system. So I'm just wondering about the supplements being easily absorbed, or what makes them not be absorbed?
So the absorption question's always been an issue, right? And ultimately what it comes down to, that's why that scanner is so valuable, because it isn't what's on the label. And now I'm going to dive off of something real quick and I'll come back, okay? So the Attorney General for the state of New York and the state of Oregon issued a cease and desist letter to Walmart, Target, GNC, and Walgreens last year. Said, you are no longer allowed to sell your name brand supplements in our state. Because when he went and measured them himself, he found that not one ingredient on the label was in the pill. And what he found was sand, houseplant material, peanut oil, and flour. So he pulled them off. Okay? That same week, here in Las Vegas, where I live, as I drive past the Walgreens to take my kids to school, surprisingly enough, that same week, all their supplements were 50% off. So they had to move them somewhere. Okay? Now, I'm not saying those stores had anything to do with it. I would be willing to bet everything I own that all 4 of those were manufactured by the same person, just put different labels on them for each one of them. Okay? But that's why you have a scanner. It isn't about what's on the label. It's about what gets to the cells. It's no longer even does it get to the blood, because there's not a scientist in the world that can tell you how it gets from the blood into the cells of your organs, where it's actually needed. They know exactly how it goes into your mouth and gets into the blood, but that changes every 24 to 48 hours. How does it actually transfer from the bloodstream and the veins and everything else as it goes around your body into the cells? There's theories, but no one has ever been able to prove it. So by using that scanner, our scientists pass the point of where we don't really know how it gets there either, but we can measure whether or not it got there. And then we can now, reformulate and feed and measure, and reformulate, feed, and measure, and reformulate, feed, and measure, and continue to better our product. That's the scientific method, right? We all learned that in high school. That's how experiments are done. But when it comes to nutrition, these scientists that were actually, formulating these products, they don't even know whether or not it's getting there, because there's never been a way to measure until now. Does that make sense? So what it comes down to on that absorption question, well, let's scan you, try the product for 60 days, and rescan you and see if it works for you. Yeah. Now, water in and of itself is incredibly important and has a lot of things, but it does not affect absorption of antioxidants. It's actually a little bit of fat that affects the absorption of antioxidants, because they're fat-soluble nutrients. And so, taking, you hear, don't take your supplements on an empty stomach. A lot of that is because it'll upset your stomach because of the minerals, or particularly the calcium in those pills that will hurt, just make you feel nauseous. But it's also the absorption. Taking it with a handful of almonds, taking it with a meal, it actually helps the body get that into the small intestine, soak that into the cell membrane and get that to the body faster. So it's more of that than it is how hydrated you are. Make sense? All right. Yeah.
I noticed the Life Pack has the B vitamins are not methylated B vitamins. Do you have any product that has methylated Bs? Or second part to that is, can we get the scanner and then use our own vitamins if we can't take those ones?
So we do, and that's where we vary with a lot of different supplements. Where we've got 60 different supplements. There's about 8 that are guaranteed to increase your antioxidant score, and then we have a lot of supplements that are, specialized. For instance, I take a cartilage formula every day because I've had 2 knee operations. And I just notice my knee doesn't swell up when I take it. So it just varies by that. And then a lot of stuff, because you're gonna find that there are, 1,000 different opinions on nutrition. And why is this ingredient this way, that ingredient this way over here? That's why we are very slow to change, but that's also why we've got 75 scientists on staff. And part of that is going to be, we're going to base it off of clinical trials. Our main product, LifePak Nano, was formulated not only off of our own expertise, but we referenced and used over 140,000 different clinicals. Now we will continue to reformulate and change things, and as the science progresses, then we make changes. And we're in the process of a review right now, so that we can reformulate our product again. We have either come out with new products or reformulated our existing products every few years since since the scanners come out. I think since 2002, when we purchased the rights to the scanner, we've now reformulated our product, I believe, 9 times, since then. And so it's a continuing evolution of that, and so you'll see a lot of varying changes, based off of that. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. We do out there on the table. Yeah. Yeah. So the question was, what does the scanner cost, and what's the cost of the average pack of vitamins? So the package to get a scanner in your practice comes with product and everything else with that. It's $3,395. That gets you the device. It gets you about $3,000 worth of product. It gets you training and about 1,000 brochures to help show and help explain when you scan somebody. You do need to provide your own iPad to go with that. And then the product that comes with it is designed for you to consume as well as sell to others. The average consumer is going to spend about $65 a month on the supplementation, varying based on price points and what they want to add to it. But our regular LifePak product, $65 a month. That's the wholesale, and you can make up to 45% off the wholesale price. If you want to charge more than that, then whatever you charge on top of that is 100% yours. On top of that. So most people simply sell it at the wholesale price and make that amount there, because they're also, we typically recommend that you charge $20 is the average around the country to scan someone. It costs you $2 to do it. And so it's, there's $18 profit there. So as you build this up, you're making the $18 profit on scanning somebody in 30 seconds, plus then the revenue on there. Most people just simply do it on auto ship at the wholesale rate to their client. Yeah. So her question was, what does it mean to I said it costs $2 every time you scan someone. So you have to use what's called a digital card. So part of purchasing our patent rights from the University of Utah, we have to pay them for every single person we scan. That's just part of the deal. And so you have to get these cards, these digital cards, to scan someone. The way that works, we do charge, it's a month-to-month rental agreement on the scanner of $125 a month. That includes 50 cards, so you could scan 50 people a month with that, and then $25 is an insurance policy that comes with that. And so that's just it's a month-to-month agreement on there that you're getting those 50 cards with. So if you look at it, it's $2 a card to be able to do that. So that's where that charge comes from. If you need more than that, then you can buy them for as little as $1 a card, just depending on the quantities that you're buying. Fair enough? Okay, guys. Well, I think my time is done. I really appreciate all the questions. Appreciate you having us. We will be out at this table if you want to come get scanned. We'd love to do it. Thank you.